What do you do when your design firm experiences a massive growth surge only for your whole team to be blindsided by a series of health disasters? This week on the Creative Genius podcast, Gail Doby sits down with the incredibly resilient Susan Feffer. Susan shares her deeply moving and unconventional path to interior design, from surviving school with an undiagnosed learning disability to navigating a divorce that left her starting over from scratch. And then more recently, when Susan decided to button up her business systems with help from Pearl Collective. Shortly after putting those operational systems in place, diagnoses started pouring in, giving the team a make-or-break choice. Tune in to find out how Susan's team thrived while dealing with these setbacks, proving that the ultimate business strategy is a rock-solid team culture.
Well, Susan, it's so great to see you. It's been a while since we've gotten together, and we are just, we miss seeing your incredible smiling face. So thank you for being here.
And thank you for having me. This is quite an honor. Very exciting.
Aw. Well, it's a pleasure. Well, I want to start off. You have been a part of our community in the past and took a little break for a little while. You've had some things going on, and we'll get into that in a few minutes. But tell me about your journey of getting into interior design. Was that intentional? What happened in your life to get you here?
So, as a little girl, I loved design. I loved, moving furniture around. I could play in dollhouses for days and Fisher Price and Barbie, it came really easily to me and I loved it. And I can't say that a lot of other things came easy to me. So I had a mother that nurtured that, and we would do the show houses. And, for one of my 16th birthday, I wanted Laura Ashley balloon curtains, and I wanted a matching bed skirt and, comforter. And that's, I was always that girl. And so school was always a real struggle for me. I was not a great student. I lived a life with an undiagnosed, learning disability. And I was the youngest of five. So I sort of went where the carpool went. And during my, life as a child, as a student in a traditional environment, I had to learn quickly how to survive and get through and identify who was going to help me get there. So there was no blueprint. There was no, template to say, this is what you're supposed to do. I just had to figure it out, and I had to find a solution. And there was a bit of chaos and sense of urgency with that, but I did it. And I would find that, there's Molly, and she's in the second row, and she's got her kilt to her knees, and she's super quiet. So I'm going to ask Molly for her notes, and then I'm going to ask her to tutor me, and my mom's going to pick up her notebook. And, and then in return, I would ask Molly to go to the party on Saturday night. That was my currency. Like, that came easy to me. Social things came easy to me. People, that was easy, but school was really hard. And I look back now, and it was actually the greatest thing that happened to me, because I feel like it was so hard, and God was like giving this to me. But at the same time, like, this was the greatest gift, because I was able to tap into a part of me that found my strength, and it found my strength in the struggle. It found that I was great at connecting people. I was able to figure out how to get through without, like, on my own. So anyway, I went to design school after high school. That was also a disaster because I was an interior design major and a textile design major. I'm 54, so this was a very long time ago. And while I was at college, they were teaching us CAD on DOS, and that was like brutal for me. I mean, brutal. So again, I was like a failure, and I wasn't going to, this wasn't going to cut it. And then I remember my teacher being like, my CAD teacher, like, you're not going to be an interior designer. Like, this is never going to work. Like, you can't do this. And it was too hard to, there was no notes to get. There was nothing to Xerox. There was, no one that even wanted to come to the party. They were a different breed of people. So it was like, okay. So I ended up like transferring, and through the night school, I got into Villanova, great school. And I, just kind of got through school. Thank God I got through by the skin of my teeth. And then I pursued a sales and marketing career. And then I went to New York and Boston. And that was what I was supposed to do, because I was good at that, right? Like I loved relationships. I loved finding like win-win situations. And I generally love people. But I never really gave up on the design thing. I felt like the dream, I got into real estate, and I should go back a little bit. When I was in college at Villanova, I knew design wasn't going to work. Interior design, I didn't think I was going to make it. So I got a part-time job at a real estate company, answering phones and booking their appointments. And I wanted this job because this was before the internet and all that kind of stuff. Because then I'd have the inside scoop on where the beautiful, like the open houses at the big mansions would be. So I would have like, I would go on Sundays to these open houses, and I would like throw on my mom's mink coat and, just show up. I didn't have two nickels to rub together, and I just wanted to see how they were decorated and designed, and wanted to see their bathrooms, their kitchens. And then I would tell the real estate agent, like, I'll be back with my fiance, and they're probably like, who is this girl? You know what I mean? Like, it just crazy. So anyway, after sales and marketing, business journey, dabbled with real estate, I took a break and was a stay-at-home mom at 30. But I was flipping our own houses and, staging houses for realtors. So in 2015, when my life sort of fell apart through divorce, and I had to just start all over, that's when I started my business.
Wow, that is quite the journey to get to here. So a lot of no's, a lot of frustrations getting to this point, but it seems as if it was what was meant to be for you. Was that a shock to you once, because you were told
I think as you get older,
I
think as you get older, and then like the more struggles that you have, the more setbacks, the more, loss or heartbreak or, whatever it is, it's going to look different for everybody. But I think you get better at handling the hard stuff, and, what you can keep, if you can keep moving forward and pivoting and healing and learning from your mistakes or your setbacks and putting you in a position of growth and a path forward, you realize that all of those things were put in front of you to get you where you are today, right? So I'm such a big believer in that. So I can't always say that I thought that. And I've certainly been the girl on the bathroom floor, paralyzed in fear and scared and anxious, and, but I think the more times you go through it, the more you realize on the other side of that door, that bathroom door, is like God and grace and gratitude, because all those moments are setting us up for where we are today,
Sure.
A little deep, but so I don't think my design path was conventional. I don't think anyone's listening to this saying, "Oh yeah, me too." I didn't feel worthy. I felt like I wasn't able to do this because of that professor telling me like I'm never going to be an interior designer, and going to a power weaving class and thinking that textile design was going to be my thing, and realizing I hate this. This is science. Like, this isn't fun. Like, this is hard, So I gave up on that, but I was always trying to find a way, an angle that I could still use it, because I realized that's where that I was good at it. Whether anybody wanted to tell me or not, I knew it. So I can't say that it knocked my confidence, because I think, I'm incredibly humbled, and life's humbled me a tremendous amount. But I was fortunate enough to have parents that didn't put a tremendous amount of pressure on the things that I wasn't good at. They were just like, get by, get through it. Like, you're great. You're fun. You're, people like you, and like, let's focus on that. So I never let it get me too down. I didn't let it be the victim of it. I wanted to be the victor someday with it. I just didn't know how it was going to present itself,
Sure. So is that what you've achieved to date that you didn't think you would? Is just getting into design, or what do you?
I think when you step away from just the work, world to raise your kids, and that's a great sacrifice. And I'm not one to look back and say I shouldn't have done that, but I wish I stayed with something, because when you leave your marriage and you go through such a tremendous, devastating loss of the way your life was supposed to be, it's a vulnerable spot not to have something you can attach yourself to, and a way that you can provide for yourself. So I was in a fight or flight, state for a very long time, like during my separation, my divorce, trying to take care of my two kids, build a business, I had to be very lean and take calculated risks. So, where I am now, I never dreamed that I'd have a, team of 5, or that I'd be financially free and independent of anybody, and how could I ever ask for anything more? Being that girl on the bathroom floor, like, dear God, get me through this, like, sure. Not even knowing what your worth was. And there's a lot of people that carried me, I have amazing friends, and I have an incredible family, and all of it, they all kind of aligned and helped me. So yeah, am I babbling too much?
No, not at all. I mean, you're being very vulnerable and open, which I think everyone is going to be able to relate to. And I love that you're so self-aware, and you also know that you can succeed no matter what anybody tells you. And my gosh, I would love to go just slap that professor's face. Seriously, this is what you're meant to do.
It's so interesting in 2026, and even raising 2 kids, like, school's different now. It's always like, let's find what's working for your child. It's not a one size fits all, right? Like, right. And had I had those kid gloves on me, or, protecting me from that, maybe I wouldn't have come out the way I am. Maybe I wouldn't be so gritty and persistent and resourceful. That could have been my greatest blessing, was my, hardest struggle. So, school was one thing. I mean, I've certainly had other struggles in the past, but also a lot of wins, and I've been blessed with a lot of great things as well. So, yeah.
I think it's interesting. You talked about being gritty, and of course, Grit Makes Pearls, and it's Pearl Collective. It's our podcast. And so for us, we know that in order for us to be strong and resilient, we have to have grit. We have to have the willingness to go through the hard stuff, because that's really where we learn the most. It's not the things that are easy. So you've had your share of that.
Well, yeah. And I think also being a solopreneur, for a while, like, that's lonely and isolating.
It's terribly lonely.
I don't even know. People say, like, if my back wasn't against the wall, I don't know if I'd ever know what I was really made of, If I had the luxury to say, okay, if I don't do this, my bills are still getting paid, like, that my husband's going to take care of me, and the mortgage is going to be, like, if I had that, I don't know if I would have kept pushing. It was so hard, it was really hard, but maybe that's why it feels so good now. Right.
Yeah. You deserve it. You deserve it. So think about the future too. What is the big career goal that you haven't achieved yet that Is maybe in the back of your mind?
I would love to sit more in the owner's seat someday and have my business run 100% without me.
Mm.
I've never been a promoter. I mean, guys, you could look at myself, social media, like my girls think it's a negative. I always kind of built my business on intention rather than attention. Like I needed to know that the most important thing was that my clients are taken care of and that they're happy. So what other people see, it doesn't matter. I just have to know that they're good, and I will continue to get business if they're okay, and it's a word of mouth thing. So where I want to be is just keep going. And I would like to maybe have a design studio on the Eastern Shore. That's where I have my St. Michael's house, and have a DC studio. But really like develop my girls who I like, they're my family, to the point where they have people working for them so that they could eventually buy this and I could work for them. Someday that there's some kind of succession plan, because this is real and it's viable, and it's a great place to be, I mean, not just because of me, because of the people that are around me, and so the people we allow in our lives, our clients, everything. So that's good.
Yeah. Well, I remember us having this conversation about a year ago, and I remember you were just so surprised at how well you had done and how much you had grown and the things you'd accomplished. And I wasn't surprised. It was more of, I was surprised that it didn't really register with you how successful you'd become. And that was so interesting.
Well, I think that it's a mindset thing, right? I think there was the years of building your business as a solopreneur. And yes. I also think I was coming from a place with a scarcity mentality. I was surviving. I was raised by an amazing parents that were amazing. And I had a father that was very conservative. Like, you get a credit card, you pay it off. You don't buy, you don't rent, you buy. If you're going to spend $10, you put the other 20 in the bank, So all of a sudden, when you're faced with like a business and you're trying to grow a business and not hiring and doing everything by yourself, like that's the one thing I would have changed. I would have done more investment in myself and my business earlier. I would have hired people earlier and taken that mindset from a scarcity to knowing that if I invest properly, I'm sort of, I'm betting on myself, and that's going to be okay. So that was really hard for me. And your Pearl Collective, other than maybe some investment in photography, and actually at that point when I joined Pearl Collective, it was February of 2024. And I realized I listened to a podcast that had you on it. You were featured on it. And then I was like, I got to look into this Gail Doby lady. Like, this could be exactly what I need. Right. And, because surrounding me, I had my sister that was working for me part-time. I had one of my closest friends that was, helping with interior design. And then I had Ashley. So I had Nicole and Ashley and Patty. And Ashley's another designer. And I had this amazing team. I had great clients. And I was like, we're kind of a mess, and I owe that to you. It was almost like I looked at my team and I thought, I got to button this thing up. I've got some great people, and I'm going to invest in this program because I'm ready. And I know that this is going to, be a good investment. I just knew it because I needed the tools. And so I did it, and it was great. And I hit the ground running, and I went through my VIP in February, and, I come back like crazy lady, like implementing all these things. And they're like, oh no, here she is with the binder. Oh gosh, like, what are we going to do today? And I mean, I'm like, it was just fast and furious, like this was my first big investment. So I was like, going to get my money out of it. And, I said to you, I remember saying I did this because I was like, we're in a place that it's viable. We've got a great team and great clients, but we need to put ourselves in a position where and prepare to get lucky. So when we get the big one, we're good to go. Like we have these systems and processes in place. And so what I did not realize was that by investing and going through the program and starting, with you guys, was I was preparing to get unlucky, which is kind of crazy.
Wow.
So that probably February, March, April, May, I started, having some health scares. I was like really freaking out. Like I had like bruises all over my body and I was exhausted. I was going from doctor to doctor in emergency rooms. And anyway, in July of 2024, I was diagnosed with a rare blood cancer, which was frightening at the time because I was alone. Like my business, the things that you think about, like when someone tells you that, like at that place, that point in my life, at that day, I was like, oh my gosh, like I pay for my healthcare, like I can't afford to go down, like
Right.
this thing needs to keep going because, I don't have a safety net. And, those things, it was like, like the real, I wasn't like, oh my gosh, I'm going to die and I'm so sad. I was like, I wasn't like, I'm going to sit back on the couch. I was like, I gotta ramp it up, like,
Right.
I realized then, like, do my girls or my team, like, do they know where the retainer money is? People are giving you large sums of money. Like I was just dealing with that, like what happens if I get sick and, like go down, like we are a professional business, so I needed to make sure all those things were in place, because, I had great, clients that I needed to continue working with them. I didn't want them to pull up the business and say, Susan's sick. Like I needed them to realize that other people were, behind the scenes doing the work. So anyway, I remember being really sick and not coming into work and, and then coming it back. And it was crazy. My girls just lined up and they were like, this got done, this got done, this got done. Like they were going through the binder. Like they were, here's our new freight management policy. It's in the contract. And here's, Patty was like, we contacted this insurance carrier. And it was like, we're doing this new policy, for our client and we're in touch with them and we're good. And I was like, oh my God, like, this is incredible. And that was 4 months of just little shifts that I made in the business through learning from Pearl Collective that put me in a position to succeed during a hard time. And, and then it also was just kind of like a rule book or, just like it gave my team something to work from. So anyway, that was crazy. And then we got through it and thank God I am doing great. And my prognosis is great. And, I go through treatment every 2 weeks and I should live forever. And I feel incredibly blessed, but it's still cancer. And, it's a big wake up call. And it's also an incredible motivator. And it can be a gift because you look at every day and think like, you're just not going to, you know what I mean? Like, it's just, this is a good day. Like, look around me. I have so much gratitude. So fast forward, about 6 months after that, Ashley, my lead designer, was sitting here and got the call from her doctor while we were all together that she was diagnosed with breast cancer. And, having been on the other side and saw the love and the support and the, your vibe is your tribe and your tribe, like we got this, like they showed up for me in a way like unbelievable. So I was like, I got you. Like, we're going to get through this together, and you take off as much time as you want. You need for having a good day, want us all to pack up and come to your house. We will. Like, you need to bring the baby here. Like, we'll figure it out. Like, you're going to come back and whenever you can, you're welcome, and no one's going to replace you. And, we got virtual assistants and figured that part out. And we got through Ashley. And then my sister was diagnosed with breast cancer once Ashley came out of chemo, and she came back from radiation, and she was like, then my sister. And, so now we're like, okay, like, we got you, and crazy. Like, how do 3 people, and they're all different cancers. So I don't think it's like Silkwood in the, office, where we're living
right.
in, Civil War kind of mind, whatever, like with all this radiation. So, it was just crazy. Like, there's no handbook that tells you how to navigate this. And, but what we had was, it was just our culture, like something that we had. And like, no one taught us that. Like, maybe I'm just good at hiring. Maybe I understand talent. Like, maybe that's my secret thing. But, it's leading by example. It's doing the right thing. It's showing up for our clients. It's showing up for each other. It's, we play hurt. We're going to get it done. Like, nothing, we're not going to miss a beat. And we didn't. And our revenues grew to crazy numbers, and our business doubled, maybe more. Why we were playing hurt, why we were always one man down, why we were probably, our systems and processes weren't great because someone was covering for somebody else. And, we couldn't bring on more business because we didn't know how we could service it. So we just had to, we never marketed. It was just our existing business, our existing clients would come back. And that's a bit of lightning in a bottle. I'm not going to rely on that anymore, but it's just where we are at this stage of our business. So Ashley's back, and Patty just started her second round of chemo. Patty's my sister, and she does the business operations, and she's awesome. So I think the more stuff you go through, the more stuff you realize you're going to get through, you got this, you'll figure it out. And it was maybe that girl that sat in that classroom, or, in the computer lab, or whatever it was, what I wasn't good at. I was good at something else, and I was good at developing people, or just finding the right clients, or creating win-wins, or, those kind of things that design school doesn't teach you, or neither does any kind of school. Because I was so bad at something else. So that's that.
That is so amazing. And you're not the only one that has gone through severe health issues. I can't even tell you how many clients have gone through life-threatening illnesses, or cancer, or you name it. It's just been unreal how many of our clients have been impacted. But the thing that I'm so glad to hear is that you also were able to keep going, as did they, because they had the things in place, and your team could go look at the binder for a VIP and just go execute and do those things. That is so cool. I did not know all that.
Yeah, and my heart breaks for people. It's almost like I feel unqualified sometimes. It's like, because I'm doing so well, right? Like that I know, but it also gives you compassion for, you don't know what people go through, right? Like, everyone's journey is so different. But we do get to choose what we take from that, our hardships, and how we move forward. And I look at all of them as a gift, I mean, had I not gone through a lot of this stuff, maybe I'd be a jerk, like maybe I wouldn't be like so down to earth. Like I'd be snotty. I'd think like, the world owed me something. Like, I don't know. Right. Like I'm so much more interesting, I think. And as is everybody, for their story. I love the power of the human spirit. And that is something that inspires me for everyone's story. I take a little bit of something from. So yeah.
Well, Susan, this has been amazing. I didn't know all the things we'd talk about today, but it just flowed so easily. And I'm just so happy for you for all the success you have earned. You've earned it.
Susan Feffer's raw vulnerability is an essential reminder of the power of the human spirit in the face of absolute chaos. Her shift from a scarcity mindset to one of radical investment transformed her firm from a self-described mess into a highly viable independent legacy. Because after all, there's no pearl without a little grit. Join us next week on the Creative Genius podcast when we welcome wealth management expert Nate Collins, who discusses the hard, seldom discussed aspects of selling your business. Many interior designers grapple with similar challenges. At Business Breakthrough Live, you can connect with other designers facing the same struggles you are. Join us in Denver from July 26th to 27th to connect with other designers, receive tailored business advice, and work side by side with our expert coaches. Learn more at thepearlcollective.com/BBL. Hear what Business Breakthrough Live attendees have to say.
I was feeling stuck in my business after a year and a half, and I really needed the tools and knowledge to take it to the next level. I had such a big vision for the company, but I needed the help, and I know I needed the help, and I knew that the Pearl Collective was the team for me to take my company to the next level.
It was fascinating to me to talk with people that understood this business and how we can pull levers to change what we're doing.
So when I heard about Business Breakthrough Live, it was $1,000 non-commitment. So basically you pay the $1,000, and then if you attend the event, they write you a check for $1,000 back. And they held that promise. I opened the folder on the first day, there was a check for $1,000. And really all I had to do was just enjoy myself and have a good time.
On the first call, there was no hesitation at all about it.
Same.
To me, there was no risks. So just go, experience it, see what it's like.